And welcome to the WAN show, guys. The show where we talk about technology and whatever. Screw it. If you guys are watching this, you probably know what we do at this point. We've been doing this for like a year, more than that.
More than that, quite a bit.
Yeah, 1 year anniversary.
It might be freakishly closer to 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a little late on this. Anyway, we've got a great show for you guys today. We've got Steam in-home streaming. Valve has finally started letting people try the beta. There's mixed reports all over the internet. We're going to be discussing that. Unfortunately, we haven't tried it personally yet, but that may change over the weekend. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. More on that a little bit later. We've also got that South Korea is working on 5G wireless connectivity, and not just enabling it in handsets, but actually developing the infrastructure for it. So more on that later. I guess this is the teaser, so it's all more on that later. Although I'm not saying that anyone is a moron. I'm just saying that the information will come later, and there will be more of it. What else we got?
There's a candid attempt at trademarking the word candy. Only a few people will understand that. And NVIDIA, the black is back. We'll talk about that more later on as well.
Yeah, what does the black is back even mean? Oh, I did put the right intro. Oh, well, whatever. I was going to change that so that I could put up a Squarespace logo. Anyway, Squarespace is our sponsor today. Remember, guys, Squarespace is the easy way to make your own website, whether it's for a blog, store, or pretty much whatever you could want. Squarespace has templates that you can use, and they handle all the hosting for you. And they have a new feature, which I'll be telling you guys more about later, called their Logo Maker, or Logo. I think they're just calling it Logo. Anyway, it allows you to... Well, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Their logo maker.
Like, what does it do? Does it sort my rabbits from smallest to largest?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
If a logo maker didn't do that, I don't think it would sell very well.
That's probably true. Although they're not really trying to sell it. It comes for free if you have a membership already. So, yeah.
I don't think it would be acquired for free very well.
Yeah.
It didn't do that.
Yeah. Rabbit
Jeez.
sorting. All right, so let's jump into our first topic of the day. Alienware's Steam machine not impossible to upgrade. This made waves earlier in the week when I believe the article that I saw was also on Kotaku, but it was said that Alienware's Steam machine, so this is basically, guys, just a PC, was going to be non-upgradable. And I kind of looked at that and I went, well, how can you have a PC that's completely non-upgradable? I mean, you should be able to upgrade RAM, maybe, unless they soldered the PCB.
Or unless it was like at a maximum capacity already.
Yeah, okay.
Which you could technically, like, I don't know. Unless it was already maxed to the spec of the motherboard.
I mean, you should be able to upgrade your drive. Even consoles, even the PlayStation allows you to upgrade the drive on it. So I was kind of looking at it going, okay, so it's not upgradable. Anyway, Alienware has come out and they have clarified it's not completely impossible to upgrade. We just don't really recommend it. It is smaller, and upgrading the internal components will not be as easy as compared to other platforms. But we will not prevent a customer from upgrading, is what their general manager, Frank Azor, told Eurogamer. So
I guarantee you someone will do it, at least just to prove that they can.
But that person would have to buy an Alienware Steam machine in the first place.
That's a good point.
Can you think of a good reason to buy a Steam machine?
I've talked about this in a few, I think at least two. I'm not sure exactly how many of my videos at CES, where I would cover something at a booth and I would be like, this would really be cool to put in your own, built by yourself Steam machine, because you don't need to go buy one.
I mean, is this the whole console versus PC conversation all over again?
My favorite thing about it too is that everyone's like, oh, but the Steam machine's not competing with consoles.
Oh, come on.
That's
now.
not what it's supposed to do. We all love each other. Like, yeah, no, it's there for a point.
No, you can't. You don't. I mean,
it's interesting, but like
What about people who buy pre-built PCs and prefer to just have something delivered to them ready to go? I mean, installing SteamOS might get easier later, but right now it's a bit of a pain in the ass. candy rather. So could you recommend to anyone with a straight face to buy a Steam machine?
Yeah.
Like a pre-built one? Like an Alienware?
If there was like literally no one to build it for them, but I don't know anywhere that there is no one to build it for you, because places like NCIX, and I know of a lot of other small computer stores as well, will just charge you like $50 and then build it for you.
I mean, it might be okay as long as, I mean, motherboard and power supply, I guess, are going to be the really challenging ones. So while you might be able to squeeze a small RAM upgrade or a drive upgrade, or even an intergenerational CPU upgrade, assuming thermals are okay,
Yeah.
you're not going to be upgrading it in any significant way. Anyway, Alienware just suggests you grab an Alienware X51 if you ever actually think you might try to change anything.
Or you could build your own.
Or you could just build your own.
Which is, yeah, probably the better way to go, in my opinion.
Which brings us to our next Steam Machine topic. Man, I'm so excited for SteamOS being not beta anymore.
Yeah.
Although I would settle for beta at this point if they were willing to give me the in-home streaming beta.
Are you properly set up?
Am I properly set up?
Yeah.
I could be very easily. My Steam machine is downstairs. All I'd have to do
mean, like, is your Steam account
yes.
in the group and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, guys, why don't we just do a quick run through of what in-home streaming is? So it's Steam's counter to NVIDIA's game stream technology, or really any other local streaming technology, except much more open and much more flexible. I mean, from the very start, it's running in Linux, so it's inherently open and probably going to be quite, hackable and play withable. And then next up, Valve is coming right out and saying, look, we want you to run the streaming service on anything that can possibly handle it, or anything at least that can run Steam. So that means if you wanted to stream from your desktop PC down to a little tiny gigabyte bricks on your TV, you could do that. If you wanted to stream from your desktop PC to your laptop, you could do that. If you wanted to stream from your laptop to a tablet with like a controller plugged into it or a Bluetooth controller on it, you could do that. The idea is anything that can run Steam can wirelessly beam a game or wirelessly receive a game and then send the controls back the other way. So they've released it as a beta, and the verdicts are kind of rolling in, although it's very much unfinished at this point. And it looks like, unless you're running gigabit Ethernet, you're probably not going to have a terrific experience if you're trying to game at 1080p 60 FPS. But you can play around with the settings somewhat, so you can change to 30 FPS, you can change to 720p, you can even go down to 720p 30 FPS if you're having trouble. But from the reports I'm seeing, as long as you're running a strong dual band, so that is 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, or you have gigabit Ethernet, then you're probably going to be able to 1080p at least will work on the wired connection.
Drop down from all of that to wired connection.
Well, it's just a reality. I mean, even with NVIDIA Shield. So that's 70p, 60 frames per second. 70p, 720p. Yeah, it's like we've gone back to Commodore 64 resolutions because lol. So that's 720p, 60 frames per second. And unless you're within a very reasonable range of your access point, it's not a great experience. I mean, NVIDIA's done a fantastic job of dynamically altering the image quality according to what it can handle.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much you've played with it.
I haven't. You took both of them.
Right, that is what I did.
I actually haven't touched one, other
right.
than at the NCIX LAN.
Okay, cool. So basically what it does is it just reduces color depth whenever it can't handle the data rate that it needs. So as you move around the house, you might have, really great color depth and no blockiness. And then if you move further away from your access point, it might become blocky and look less clean. But it should still be low latency in theory. I mean, it's not always perfect.
That's the idea.
So I don't know how well Valve's works in this regard because I haven't actually tried it yet. But there's good news. NCIX Keys has given us access to his Steam account. He got a beta. Everyone at NCIX got one. Wheels got an invite, Keys got an invite, Jack got an invite. Neither of us got beta access. So I'm going to try it out. I'm going to play around with it. I'm going to be using, I'll run a proper gigabit cable down to my TV, and then I'll try it with Powerline, because I have
Okay.
kind of a cheesy power line adapter down there that
Yeah.
isn't very good. I'll see if that works. Then I'll try wireless, so I'll have to take those Ubiquiti
Yep.
access points home over the weekend. But I'm really excited to play around with this.
Guys that are interested in jumping on the beta, it's not the like Steam account beta opt-in. That's for other stuff. This is you have to go find the in-home streaming group and join the group. So it's not your auto opt-in that you might have set on your account settings. It's actually more than that, which some people did not realize.
Oh, I'm so stoked about this. I mean, being able to sit in bed and, fire up the old laptop and play desktop grade games with a controller, like,
Well, this brings back
on
the
onboard graphics.
Yeah, yeah. This brings back the I'm excited for like next generation thing, but not necessarily for Valve streaming. I want faster internal home networks
Right.
so that we can actually support all this stuff a lot better. Because I found especially wireless has been a big issue in this term.
I would love for you guys to tell us how important this is to you. Tell us how excited you'd be about this. But what do you think of trying to get our hands on a 4K display and running that on our 10 gig network here? Because here in the office, we have a 10 gigabit internal network. We're using direct attached copper with SFP Plus modules that are built right into them. We have a 10 gig switch, and we have a few 10 gig. I have still another adapter to spare that we could throw into the Steam machine and get that fired
Well,
up.
I was thinking we should do like a big roundup, so we can just add that as the like extreme ridiculous level of the roundup. Because we should have like a netbook and a bricks and a gaming laptop and a medium desktop and a big desktop and like a 4K setup.
That sounds like way more work.
Well, we can exclude some of those.
Ah,
But like
okay.
what I mean is like have a range of stuff and show that it's probably mainly network that actually matters.
Right. I mean, one other thing I was even thinking about already was like, okay, MacBook Air has Thunderbolt. Remember that Magma external Thunderbolt PCI Express enclosure? You throw a 10 gigabit adapter in there, all of a sudden you've got 10 gigabit to 10 gigabit to 10 gigabit. You've got a full 10 gigabit link between a gaming desktop and a Mac, which can run Steam.
Yeah.
So once I actually
Are you
is
trying to
Steam-
like justify the purchase of a MacBook or like what's the point?
does Debian support Thunderbolt? I would
don't
think
know.
so.
But I don't know why it wouldn't.
Yeah, because you could throw SteamOS on the MacBook. You could get your beta going. That's actually interesting. I wonder if they do. So yeah. Anyway, guys, we'd love to hear. People are talking about Bieber, guys. We don't talk about
God.
Justin Bieber on this show. That's just not a thing that we talk about. I'm sorry. I wish we could because he's just so dreamy.
Looks like it does.
So then we could be looking at pretty much the most lightweight possible device running the most balling possible graphics. I mean, I might not even... did I show you the thing in Gigabyte Suite? They had an external PCI Express like graphics card enclosure. Okay, they actually had this thing running using external SAS cables. And they're like, yeah, we're kind of working on the interface still. They had a computer.
did it work?
They had a computer that had like holes drilled in it
Nice.
and like SAS cables running out of it
Nice.
to like this external enclosure. They're like, yeah, it was working.
That's sick.
It was running.
That's
So
cool.
they're like, yeah, we're working on the interface. We might use like Thunderbolt or USB 3 or something. I'm like, yeah, you better do that because this is not a good idea.
Hey, maybe people could actually use the water cooling holes in their computers if they like didn't want to put a graphics card in their desktop for whatever reason.
SAS PCI Express card it was a proprietary interface card
Nice.
to SAS cables to external box. It's like ridiculous.
Just why? But it would be cool. I don't know why, but it would still be cool.
So anyway, this might have gotten to the point where I just don't care about that anymore. Because if I could just have one device in my house that can stream to anything in my house, then why would I want a dedicated hard line between that graphics card and the other thing?
So before that thing came out, it now doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and the stupid thing about it is everyone's been teasing these external graphics card enclosures for so long, and now we've gotten to the point where it might just not matter. I mean, this is my problem with the new Mac Pro. It relies on this non-switchable, non-networked interface. It relies on a point-to-point connection between device A and device B. To me, that is not the future. That is not the connected home. That is not the connected life. That's not the Internet of Things. That's not what it's about. It's about everything being able to access the same pooled resources. You know, cloud computing is an example of this on a much broader scale, but the personal cloud is what really excites me. So having that machine in your house that lives in the closet and now can be full of hard drives for your own personal cloud storage, and then it can be full of graphics cards so you can beam graphics horsepower to yourself. You look at this internet connectivity that the Koreans are working on. What is it, 300 megabit per second?
The
mobile?
5G stuff?
Yeah.
No, it's gigabyte.
Sorry. What? How much?
Gigabyte.
I must have been looking at the wrong thing. 1 gigabyte per second?
Yeah, they want you to be able to download a movie in a second. And they want you to be able to access the internet on a 500-mile-an-hour bullet train.
Okay, so there you go. 1 gigabyte per second connectivity. If they can get the latencies down enough, and remember, guys, we sort of, you know, freak out about input lag and about latency a lot. But consider this for a moment. I can ping NVIDIA's game stream servers at, I think it was about 35 milliseconds. And that's from hundreds of kilometers away. I'm well north of Santa Clara. Okay. On a wireless connection, you might be able to achieve, let's say in the future, a best case scenario, if you could achieve 30 to 50 milliseconds of ping, that might be doable. A TV will often have in excess of 30 to 50 milliseconds of input lag. Consider that. If you can game on a TV, if you could have a nice low latency display on a device like a Shield or a phone, and pretty much the only delay left was that network connection, you could actually have, and if you had faster home internet, so we've got fiber here now, so even, you don't need a ton of bandwidth, you just need a consistent connection. So between fiber and having a consistent wireless connection, you could actually be looking at beaming your cloud storage, your cloud computing to yourself pretty much wherever you want. That is the future, not an octopus of, you know, Thunderbolt cables coming out of one box, however beautiful and small, and actually quiet. I finally had a chance to see a new Mac Pro in person, and it is phenomenally quiet. I got to give them that. Anyway, I don't think
so. The 5G technology that they're showing off can beam gigabyte per second over more than gigabyte per second over a distance of 2 kilometers.
Unbelievable. Here, why don't we launch into that? Just because I think I'm pretty much done with Steam in-home streaming, and you know, candy you, Valve, for not including us in that. Super unhappy. But at least I get to try it.
Yeah, that's a good point. This won't be ready for commercial until about 2020, and they're going to do like testing of it.
We're not talking about in-home streaming. We're talking about this, which you guys haven't seen yet.
South Korean 5G. I wasn't sure you were up yet or not. South Korean 5G. Are you candy? Which will be ready for testing, like I said, in 2017, and ready for commercial service in 2020, hopefully. This is a bid for Korea to try and get more on the network infrastructure side of things. They've been really, really big, obviously, Samsung, LG, stuff like that.
Hold on, just a sec. Which you guys haven't seen yet. Sorry guys.
I wasn't sure you were.
I got this.
South Korean 5G.
Yeah.
Was that running the whole time?
No. I've been monitoring.
Okay,
yep.
cool.
Don't worry, it's all good. Okay. Sorry, talk about this. So 1.5 billion bucks on movie in a second service.
Yeah, and this second service was tested a lot by Samsung, and Samsung was able to beam faster than, like I already said, faster than gigabyte per second for 2 kilometers. This would enable people to access it on bullet trains going faster than 500 kilometers an hour, which is ridiculous. I might have said 500 miles previously. It's 310 miles an hour, 500 kilometers an hour. That's absurd. Right now the cap is 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah. So to put this in perspective, guys, 1 gigabyte per second after, overhead, the quick and dirty conversion is 10x if you want to get to gigabit. So this is effectively as fast as a Thunderbolt connection. And obviously not every individual user is going to get that kind of data throughput all the time. And much like that test they were doing in London, this is a proof of concept right now. By the time it gets rolled out to mass market, we could be looking at much lower cost infrastructure and sort of that 80-20 rule. Yeah. How can we spend 20% as much as we did on that research project and achieve 80% of those results, or even 60% of those results? But either way, if I could get anywhere near that, if I could get 100 megabytes per second, that would be gigabit speeds on something like this. Now we're talking.
That's still insane, like absolutely insane. And the whole idea of this is Korea's saying that with 2G, 3G, and 4G, they saw a national boost of just like everything. Like national growth was just better with those infrastructures. So the idea with 5G is we're going to do that again, and the idea is that they're going to be producing network infrastructure. So right now they're really big in the mobile handheld game, but they want to be really big in the infrastructure that goes behind pushing data to those. They expect to see 20% of that telecom infrastructure by 2020, and I think they're running at about like 4.4% now, so it's actually a huge increase.
And given how quickly mobile is growing, that
Probably
20%
really smart.
could be a lot more than 5 times or 4 times what they're doing now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. Samsung was able to do it by harnessing millimeter wave bands, which were apparently a huge issue.
Tell me something. And I'd love to hear, you know what, let's do a Twitter blitz. We don't do those enough these days.
That's true.
A Twitter blitz, guys. Would you consider moving? Like, let's use South Korea as an example, okay? Would you consider packing your candy and moving across the globe for better IT infrastructure? If you were living in somewhere with like basically craptastic internet that you're paying way too much for, would you go, okay, I'm willing to do what so many immigrants have done the other way around. I'm going to talk to the North Americans out there. You know, the people who just drop everything and come to this, you know, the new world, so to speak, to make their fortune. Would you be willing to do the opposite? Would you be willing to move to South Korea to get much, much better internet and television service and, you know, mobile broadband and, you know, access to better handsets and all that kind of stuff? Are you a technology-enabled lifestyle enough person that would matter enough to you to move? Would love to hear from you guys on this. How about you?
Personally, yes, but I think ours is at least good enough that I'm not there right now.
What if, okay, because define good enough. It's good enough for what we do with it.
Yeah.
It's good enough for email. It's good enough for streaming low quality video, but nothing, you know, 4K or anything, obviously. What if by moving to, okay, here, so stay with me. What if 2020 rolls around, okay? Oculus is wireless. Hold on,
you know you're gonna win with this.
Hold on. Okay, so Oculus is wireless by this time.
Dirty.
Okay. Valve has released Steam for Android.
Okay.
Okay. And you could literally be sitting on a train, playing a game on a bullet train, traveling at 500 kilometers an hour.
Maybe faster than that by then.
Maybe faster than that by then. Playing a game that's running on your desktop at home with full 4K graphics. Would you move for that experience if back here in North America we're still on 4G and we're like figuring out how to play like Netflix on our phones still and dealing with you know, bandwidth caps?
I could see that. I could actually see that. Maybe not for the bullet train thing, but there's a billion and one other examples that could work. Like, and the bullet train one's not a bad example. It's just that would be pretty cool because there's stuff like people were talking about the Valve holodeck. Mm-hmm. Like if that kind of by 2020, like they're talking this kind of stuff should be consumer, not necessarily the holodeck, but like Valve is saying that that VR should be consumer ready and good, like actually really good, and that's Valve saying it should be good in the next like 2 years. Right. It's not 2020. It should be freaking epic by 2020. So it's the possibilities, all the possibilities. So yes, probably. Because VR, I'm kind of really liking the whole VR thing.
All right, let's go ahead and see what the folks on Twitter think. Johan says no because porn is censored in Korea. That's actually kind of a valid...
Hotspot Shield.
Yeah, actually, speaking of show sponsors, Hotspot Shield is not our sponsor today, but you used Hotspot Shield in Korea, right?
Yep. We could not access any Google services for some reason in our hotel lobby. And we didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have mobile connections at the time, so we only had Wi-Fi possibilities. And we had to sit in the hotel lobby and somehow communicate with each other. So Hotspot Shield, Google services, yay!
Anyway, there you go. Had a plan to move to. Someone was apparently already thinking about it, but we don't know who it is anymore.
Where'd it go?
Oh my goodness, what happened there?
I don't know.
Oh, okay, here we go, here we go. Emo Polar Bear had a plan to move to Sweden for better IT and education.
Oh, that's my friend. I know him.
Dartel figures, nope, nope. I would absolutely move to South Korea for phenomenally better internet. It's funny because when you talk about country growth and how you can stimulate it, better infrastructure. This is, I mean, you look at the candy backwards way we're doing it here in Canada, where they build a bridge and then put a toll on it,
Like
because
huge toll.
an enormous toll,
Like-
one that costs, even if you're a regular user and you buy a pass, about $7 a day to get to and from work. I mean, when you factor in that minimum wage here is $10, and the income tax on a minimum wage earner could be anywhere from, after sales taxes for things like food, could be as much as like 30%. We're talking about an hour of your day, an eighth of your day, if you're a full-time laborer, just to cross a bridge. That doesn't even factor in gas and whatever else. If you're expected to drive a car, which if you're in that municipality, you pretty much have to, because
Yeah.
the public transit here is terrible.
I've changed how I get over there.
I know.
I go in different routes because it's so expensive.
So-
and people are like, "Oh, it'll save on gas because you don't wait in traffic that much."
That's the candy backwards way of doing things. You give people things that they need. I mean, the Romans had this figured out. You build roads, and the economic advantages will come. No, we're like, well, no, you have to pay us for the road after we build it. Anyway, so South Korea is investing. They are making their country a better place to live, and we're seeing it in the responses already. Yeah, I would move to a country that offers better infrastructure and better services. Anyway, so Slow Bro
sense.
figures yes. Peter figures, I would if I had the money, and Candy is trademarked. That
I don't think it's
copyright
actually
infringement.
trademarked.
Yeah, no, they're trying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't move, but I would keep it in mind if I was ever on a trip near there. I would totally move from America, says Mitch. Nope. In Ohio, I got what I need. In Singapore, there's already 1 gigabyte per second plans, not for mobile. That's not what we're talking about. Yep. Yes. Yes. No, unless they're willing to lower prices, change piracy laws, and have a government like ours. Hashtag democracy. Lower prices on what?
I don't know what their government system is because I don't.
No, I wouldn't, but I would appreciate if the Canadian ISPs would get their candy together. Yeah, gotcha. If I could still speak English, then yes, that's an
But this
interesting
is like
point.
it doesn't necessarily have to be Korea as well. I think the question is more: would you move?
I did specifically say Korea, though.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure would. Can't get enough. Even willing to pay more. They just won't give it up. Not unless U.S. became more terrible. Okay, that's from David. I would move
Progressive.
from Germany to Korea for internet. Wow, look at that. No doubt, I would jump on the next plane. Would
This is
totally
a lot
move.
of people saying yes. It's actually a little bit more people saying yes than I expected.
This is a lot more than I was expecting. Chance asks if I've heard about Limelight Pi, and asks to talk about it. We were actually discussing that earlier this week. It's not one of our topics for the show today specifically, but we might as well talk about it a little bit. The last time I tried Limelight was over a month ago, so I don't know if what I'm saying is valid anymore, but it's a terrible experience. This was using an NVIDIA Shield, and then I also tried it on an HTC One, which has a Qualcomm processor, so it should support the H.264 hardware decoding that is required for the best possible experience, and it just wasn't very good. It was extremely laggy compared to NVIDIA Game Stream, and I'd be willing to give it another shot in the next little bit here, but basically what Chance is asking about is sort of a movement right now to use Limelight, which could be used for game streaming and already kind of works, on a Raspberry Pi to have a very, very low power, very small, very efficient game streaming box
It's
for your
actually
TV.
really cool because if it did work really well, I don't know. I haven't tried it at all, and he
So
tried it
cheap.
a while ago. Incredibly cheap.
Yeah, you could basically strap a Raspberry Pi to the back of every single display you own and have all your gaming horsepower right there. And I think that is the future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, oh man. Okay, you already have a wireless Bluetooth speaker in your shower.
Yep.
If you could have a wireless waterproof game controller in your shower, you could
I'd
have
be
like
down.
a tablet dock, and you could literally game in the shower.
I'd be down. I already dance and sing, so
Yeah,
why not
so
add
you might as
more?
well game.
Yeah.
I mean, waterproof Oculus. Okay, now we're probably going
I'd probably still do that.
probably going a little
You
bit
could
too
just
far.
do like Mario
Really?
under sea levels.
Oh my god. What the candy's wrong with you?
Nothing. I like my candy Oculus.
All right. Let's move on to our next topic, I think. Speech recognition hack potentially turns Chrome into an advanced bugging device. This was posted on the forum by Fushi, and the original article is by Ars Technica. So I think you had done a little bit more looking into this than I had.
So it's not like, if you just skim it real quick, it's not quite as bad as it first looks, because what happens is you have to go to a website and tell that website that it can use your mic. The problem is it's not disabling it when you tell it to. So you tell it to disable your mic, you go to a different website. That website then has to have a pop-up that you have to not close, and then it can record what you're saying because that pop-up's there and can record it. But like the amount of times that series of events will properly happen is, I don't think, very high. Although it is still a serious problem. I'm not saying it's not a serious problem, and I can't believe they haven't fixed it, as they've known for 4 months, which is kind of crazy. They say it's not evil, but it could very easily be used for something bad. And someone other than the person that found it might find a way to run this, say, without a pop-up. The second you remove the pop-up or pop-under, I think becomes a much bigger deal.
Yeah.
Because the second there isn't that thing that everyone has trained themselves to automatically close immediately, it's like way more serious, because there's going to be a lot more websites where they're voice activated. Google now, if you go to Google's homepage, has their voice activation button not there, maybe on Chrome. I guess it would be Chrome. Has their voice activation button. So people that are searching Google based on voice, that's now a thing. And then if it wasn't a pop-up, it would be a lot easier for that to happen. There we go. Yeah.
Here it is, guys, in case you haven't seen it yet.
So the voice activation button just on the right side of the search bar. So if he presses that and
Tell
then
me
talks,
about the privacy issues associated with your voice record. Oh, I have to click allow. So there you go. You have to click allow.
Yeah.
Tell me about the privacy issues that this voice activation is going to cause. Oh, cost. It was doing so well up till then.
It was.
All right, so there's something about Google Glass, something about Xbox One. Anyway, that's not really the point of our conversation right now.
So I think it's slightly sensationalized, as I think a lot of people freaked out immediately, but I really don't think very many people are going to run up into this, as people automatically close pop-ups, and I don't think that many people are using...
Not everyone automatically closes pop-ups. I mean, I think that sometimes you're guilty of this, and I think sometimes we all are, of assuming a level of technical competence that other people don't have.
But that's my thing. It's not technical competence, it's people being annoyed. Pop-unders are a completely different story, and what she's talking about in the video is a pop-under, because you might not notice it, and especially with newer...
For years, my mom refused to click the X button in the top right.
I've never met someone like that in all my tech support years.
She insisted on clicking the little line because she was used to, I don't know, Windows 3.1 or something. Where and like even in 3.1 you weren't supposed to do that. Like everything would just be like piled up at the bottom. There are people that exist that do not close pop-ups.
But then how many of them are going to have a setup that has a mic where they can use voice activation for search?
With a laptop, any one of them. Because that's what I just did on my laptop. All I had to do was click allow once.
Have you ever done that outside of that environment?
Which environment?
The one we just had on the show?
No.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. Like someone, like you could disguise. I mean, okay, you look at scams that you and I kind of laugh at. Your viruses, blah 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 blah. Click yes now. That is what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's very true. And like it will happen. That's why I'm saying I just don't think it'll happen as much. And because there's going to be such, in my opinion, a small demographic that you can target with this, I don't think there's going to be a crazy amount of websites out there pushing for this. Because when you're making a virus or something, you're looking at
I think you underestimate the market of dumb candies that are out there.
Dumb candies. Yeah, I know, but like that's the whole thing where people were saying like, oh, there's no viruses on Macs. It's because the market was much smaller. There's more viruses on Windows, not because Mac was harder to write viruses for, but because there was such a larger user base, so your target.
So you think
is much
because
bigger.
there are so few people with laptops with microphones?
No, so few people that are going to actually do this. Like in the example in the video, she goes to a website where you can make a to-do list with your voice.
Yes.
How many people are going to do that? Not very many. Like how many times is someone going to go to a website?
Okay, how about this? What if you created a pop-up that made someone go to a website where it convinced them that their bank needed a voice clip from them for security.
That's actually not too bad.
That's what I'm trying to
But
say.
then how are you pushing that pop-up?
Some other website. Like, no, but really, like, consider the Nigerian prince scam, okay?
Oh, I knew this was going to come up. This is
Enough
when I lose.
people fall for that it still exists.
Yeah.
And that they're still doing it.
Yeah.
Enough people actually send money to someone. Never mind just record a voice clip, which is seemingly completely innocuous.
This is where I lose the argument. I knew the Nigerian prince was going to come out as
The
something.
Nigerian prince is like if we had a card game, okay? The Linus Media Group card game would have the Nigerian prince card, and that would be the trump card, all right? You play the Nigerian prince, and it's all over.
Yep, it's done. It's over. I lose. The whole time we were talking, I was like, it's gonna come out at some point, and then I'm done. I'm totally screwed. Yeah.
So they need to fix that.
They do. I can't believe it hasn't. Like, even despite what I was arguing with, they've known for 4 months. I can't believe it hasn't been fixed. Because, like, no matter how small of an issue I might think it is, it's still an issue.
Yeah.
And it still should have been fixed. And they're like, oh, it's not evil, but it can very easily be used for evil. They even have things where it can start up the recording based if it hears certain words. So if you say like NSA or Syria, it'll start recording.
Hashtag killed your wife. It could probably start recording.
It can start recording that. And it can like manipulate that text. So it can take that text and save it somewhere else specifically easily because it shows in the video she says NSA in Syria, and it like bolds it, makes it big, formats it a little bit, makes it red. Meaning that you could pull those out easily with a different program and then save them somewhere. Right.
Speaking of privacy concerns, Microsoft offers overseas data storage in response to NSA concerns. This was posted by HDZX on the forum, and the original article is from The Verge. This, to me, is... okay, like everyone else is probably talking about the implications of the overseas data storage and how that may or may not actually affect the NSA's ability to steal the data. I mean, it would probably cause more of a fuss with the local government of wherever the data storage is, but it seems like they haven't cared about that in the past. So I don't know how much that'll help. But to me, this is more of a potential long-term, extremely dangerous path that the U.S. is headed down.
Yep.
I mean, right now, you look to the huge U.S.-based corporations that are driving revenue into the country, the Microsofts and Googles and Apples of the world. If you candy those guys off enough, why wouldn't they just leave?
And this could be a thickly veiled attempt to slowly move infrastructure out so you can move out.
So all of a sudden, Microsoft has been forced, not even necessarily because they want to, but they have been forced to move their resources out of the country. Not only that, but remember the whole, like, made in the USA, and I mean, I'm talking North America in general, you know, Apple's push, new Mac Pro, assembled in the USA, you know, that being a selling point. All of a sudden, the US government has created so much negativity around this data security and privacy issue that now it is a selling point that they've outsourced it.
There was mainly a while ago, not really now as far as I can tell, a huge phobia about made in China. Well, there always is, but because of security issues. What if they bugged the chip, or what if they did whatever, right? So people were worried about that a lot, and I see less people worried about that now, and now people are worried about that in America.
Yeah.
Just like, how did you screw that up so hard? Well, actually, we know exactly how they screwed that up so hard.
So that's extremely troubling to me. How they could have let this get so far out of hand.
So there's a few things that people are bringing up, which you already dismissed some of them, but like there's the thing brought up a while ago, how the NSA had actually penetrated into Microsoft, Yahoo, and Google, and all like a ton of different guys' internal networks. So like, does this even help?
Maybe not.
They're probably still in there. I don't know. But either way, Microsoft is moving out, and like you said, the biggest thing probably is the fact that they're moving infrastructure out, and they could potentially move.
I mean,
entirely
they would have
out.
already needed data centers overseas.
Yeah.
But now they have an excuse to move more of it.
Yeah, more exactly.
Interesting.
More Microsoft news.
Yeah, that's not all. That's not all positive for Microsoft this week. There's a big hubbub around Microsoft paying YouTubers for mentions. So let's go ahead and fire that up over here. This is posted on the forum by Devil's Ye, and dude, you really gotta flesh things out a little bit more. The original article is from Ars Technica. So stealth marketing, Microsoft paying YouTubers for Xbox One mentions. So Microsoft was involved, Machinima, the multi-channel network, was involved, and I'd like to start by saying that we have nothing to do with Machinima, and just because some YouTubers are partnered with Machinima doesn't necessarily mean they're bad people, it just means they might have gotten suckered a little bit. Machinima's reputation among the YouTuber community is quite negative. They've done some pretty shady stuff over the years. Including things like perpetual contracts with YouTubers, which are illegal, and then perpetual contracts with underage YouTubers,
Yeah.
which is illegal too. So they're both illegal, and then pressuring these people and making them feel like they can't leave and they can't get out. Like, Machinima has not always been the most straight edge company necessarily. But with that said, you know what? Okay, you know what? Here, I'll let you explain what was going on, and then I'll weigh in with my spiel. And I'd
So-
love to hear what you guys think on Twitter about this as well. Linus Tech on Twitter.
Explain what was going on, as in like how they were doing it, or
Yeah,
why?
yeah. Just talk
Okay.
about what happened.
So they proposed a $3 CPM, so you'd get $3 extra per 1,000 views that you got, and there was
Which is a
some,
lot, by the way.
it adds up. There was some prerequisites though. You had to be a Machinima partner. You had to have at least 30 seconds of Xbox One game footage. You had to mention the Xbox One by name, and you had to include the tag XB1M13. There was also a few other things, like in the guidelines for it, may not say anything negative or disparaging about Machinima, Xbox One, or any of its games. So it had to include footage, you had to mention Xbox One by name, and you had to be positive, no matter what.
You don't have to be positive. You can't say anything disparaging.
Okay.
There's a
So
difference.
I guess you could be neutral.
You could be neutral.
You could be neutral. So it'd be
Anyway.
positive or neutral.
But if they put a clause that says don't say anything negative, I think the implication is you should say something positive. So
Yeah.
you're not wrong. You're just not necessarily technically right.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So this, and like quite a few people jumped on it actually, and Machinima got flamed for it, and then there's other big problems, like the main thing being that I don't think too many people would have had a big problem with it if they were open about it. A lot of YouTubers did this without mentioning the whole kickback thing, because I think it had to be confidential. I think there's actually somewhere in here. Yeah, it had to be confidential in some form. You must also keep details of the promotional agreement confidential in order to qualify for payment. So the idea is, if it was super transparent, I don't think too many people would have cared much. But because it was so shady, a lot of people cared. And there's actually FTC guidelines saying that, say you received a gift from someone, and then you did coverage on it in some way, it has to
Not
be
necessarily a
transparent.
gift, like even a review sample.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if a review sample qualifies. Yeah, I think it does. You have to specify. And this is in America. In Canada, I actually don't have to tell you guys that I got a sample. I think it's implied though, because usually I'll tell you guys I bought it if it isn't a review sample. So
Yeah, and
just
then
throwing that out there.
extra things like the Oculus review that's coming out, or came out, I guess, for me. I bought that, and then there's a Wii U one coming out soon that was purchased as well. Like, usually, unless it's like unboxing, blah 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 blah, we actually bought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's my take on it.
So, problem or not a problem?
I think a problem.
I think there is a problem here, but not necessarily for the reasons that a lot of people think. I think the clause about not saying anything disparaging about Microsoft, Machinima, or games is maybe
I don't actually think that's necessarily that bad, because
it's implied.
it's implied, and well, okay, the problem is, if you had something negative to say, just don't take it.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, if you can take this bonus, you have to say something nice. You
So-
cannot take this bonus and say whatever the hell you want. There's
Candy.
Whatever the candy you want. It's optional. So that I don't necessarily mind. I don't like you have to keep it confidential, blah blah blah.
So here's the thing. For example, our Squarespace sponsorship, there's a confidentiality clause.
Okay.
I can't tell you guys how much Squarespace is paying us when they sponsor the WAN show. for example.
It's the...
So, and I'm not saying that's the same thing.
It's not.
I'm just saying that it's fairly typical for a sponsorship or advertising agreement to have some kind of confidentiality.
But it's not the fact that there is one. It's the details within.
No, you're right. You're right. I am 100% allowed to disclose that Squarespace is a sponsor of the show. And in fact, I feel quite strongly that anyone who is sponsoring us, anyone who is directly giving us money to bring our content to you guys should know about it. Because you guys should be like, good job, Squarespace, for recognizing that we like this content and we want to see more of it. Thank you very much for allowing Linus and his team to keep making it. I mean, I personally think that sponsorships and support should be as public as possible. And you guys are more than welcome to ask me at any time who our sponsors are, and I will be happy to tell you, yes, this was paid for, this wasn't paid for, and these guys are sponsors or these guys are not sponsors. That's all great. Oh, look at that. Hotspot Shield just sent me an email. Hotspot Shield happens to be a sponsor as well. The issue here, more than anything else, is not disclosing that Microsoft... I mean, even if they were to say something as simple as, Microsoft asked me to do this Xbox One gameplay video.
Yeah.
So I want to take a moment to thank Microsoft and talk to you guys a little bit about the Xbox One and show you this gameplay footage.
And like the fact that they said it has to be positive doesn't necessarily mean that it's skewing the person's views. The person might have already had positive things to say about it. So they're not, I don't, that part I don't.
On the other hand, it might have. And I think when you look at the terms of this campaign, it seems to be designed to target guys who otherwise might not necessarily have been talking about the Xbox One. But with all of that said, everyone who took the money knew the terms before they took the money.
Yep.
So if you have a problem with the way that any of this was implemented, then take it up with the YouTuber. I mean, I don't agree with Microsoft's approach, and I don't particularly care for Machinima's way of doing business either. Let's make that abundantly clear. But if you don't like what a YouTuber is taking money for, your issue is with the YouTuber, not necessarily with the sponsor.
You'll notice we don't have an Xbox One video.
No, we don't. We have an Xbox One. It's over there in a corner, collecting dust like it should be.
Has it turned on since we did the image comparison?
Hold on, let's do 30 seconds of gameplay footage quick.
We can show like the gameplay versus PC footage.
Because all we said is it was sitting there. We didn't say it was doing a bad job.
It's doing a quite good job of sitting there.
Yeah, it looks great.
It hasn't broken.
The Kinect.
Yeah.
Not broken Xbox One.
Because we haven't turned it on.
Oh, love it.
I guess it's like what is it? Sindler? No, whatever.
Apparently someone from
Schrodinger's
PC
cat?
Master Race subreddit got an email to promote the Xbox One. I mean,
Seriously?
guerrilla marketing is not a new thing. There's also someone in here telling us that we're NVIDIA sponsored. Believe it or not, we're not. NVIDIA hasn't done any paid promotion with us in about a year. So there you go.
Oh, man.
All right, let's move on to our next topic,
Speaking
I guess.
of NVIDIA sponsorship,
Speaking of it, oh, what's going on?
AMD?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about... No, let's do the NVIDIA topic first.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, here we go. All right, so we've got an NVIDIA topic here for you guys. Black is back. This is just a rumor, but I hope there's... well, actually, I don't know what I think about this rumor. It might just be a totally stupid rumor. It was posted by Brown Ninja 97 on the forum. The original article is from videocards.com. So there you go. NVIDIA to launch GeForce GTX Titan Black Edition and GeForce GTX 790. The Titan Black Edition looks like a somewhat real mock-up. That GTX 790 does not look like a real thing at all. It looks like the Titan one with an MS Paint black thing and then like some text over it and maybe sort of the correct font. But basically the rumor is that the 790 would be a dual GK110 card, which
That's got to be difficult.
Kind of terrifying. Obviously, it wouldn't have the same clock speeds or all the same functional units. And then the Titan Black Edition is rumored to be a fully unlocked, because remember, the original GTX Titan does not have all of the GK110 functional units. It actually is missing some CUDA cores, SMXs, I guess they call them now. But we might see that card come in with, there's rumors about memory bus, there's rumors about how much memory will be on them, but we might get a replacement for Titan. Because remember, Titan doesn't make any sense for a gamer anymore unless you're running like 4K surround.
No, every single time we say this, and like someone got super pissed on, I think it was
Candied.
the 780, super candied on the 780 Ti video because I said Titans aren't really gaming cards anymore. Like, super candied, and I was like, man, if you bought it a long time ago and you've enjoyed it this entire time, that's totally fine. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying, like, if you're looking into it now and you're strictly looking to buy a gaming card,
Titan makes this much sense.
Yeah.
Unless you need the extra frame buffer. Otherwise, GTX 780 Ti is better in every possible way. And cheaper.
Yeah.
So a Titan refresh, because remember, Titan is not valid for gaming, but it's very important for CUDA developers or anyone who wants to use the double precision capabilities of the card. So for compute, Titan might still make a lot of sense, and it'd be nice if Titan purchasers could get a fully unlocked chip as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I buy this. Because the rumor says launch date February 2014 to March 2014, but that's Maxwell timeframe.
Yeah. Yeah. I find it very odd now, especially with the 790 with like the crappy paint overlay. But the Titan Black Edition, we've seen leaks of that colored cooler before.
Yes, we have.
So it could have easily just been like, oh, we're gonna turn it, make it vertical, put it in this line, and then yay. So I'm not entirely sure about that. It could be real, and I wouldn't be surprised because when the 780 Ti came out, we talked about like, why isn't there one with 6 gigs?
Yeah.
What the heck?
So maybe
like,
that's a Titan Black Edition.
Yeah, so I would not be surprised if that one's real. I would be fairly surprised if the 790 is real.
Because, I mean, well, the thing about a 790 is if they did manage to keep power and thermals under control. I mean, remember, too, 780 Ti still kicks out less heat and consumes less power than the competing AMD cards.
Yeah.
So if they did manage to cram 2 of them onto a PCB, it would probably be significantly faster than even whatever Maxwell can cook up.
Yeah, like it's the only reason why I'm like naysaying it a little bit is just because that's got to be hard.
And it's got to be expensive.
And
it's a
gotta
big
be
die.
Crazy expensive. Like it says like 999 plus. I expect that plus to be fairly large.
Nvidia's hasn't done that yet. They've done 999 quite a few times in the past. I believe 6800 Ultra was up near that price point. Let me just double check. I think 6800 Ultra was when MSRP at launch. Hold on. Was when the super expensive graphics card thing really happened. And then they did it again with 8800 Ultra. That was a $1,000 card, but they've never gone above that as far as I remember.
The only reason why I say that is because with the Titan Black Edition coming right behind it, like right behind it at $999, it seems weird to release a 790 right after that at $999 again.
Well, why not? Because they had 590 running at $999 at the same time, or rather 690 running at $999 at the same time as Titan, where the 690 was the gaming card and the Titan was the compute, and also because it had a much better GPU gaming card. But if they had a 790 and a Titan Black at $999, I don't see why that's an issue necessarily.
That would just be interesting, and I think we'd have the same thing we had with early Titan adopters with the Titan Black, where they'd be like, why? Why did this happen? Although SLI is kind of still... I'm still not a huge fan of 2 chips. What are you looking up, sir?
I'm trying to find that pricing. So FX 5950, $380. 6800 Ultra Extreme was only $600. I was wrong. So that was the top tier unobtainium card, along with the X800 XT Platinum Edition, both of which were very difficult to find and were basically just vaporware. So 8800 Ultra might have been the first one then.
Okay.
But at any rate, it's all rumors right now. We don't know if any of that is true. I actually have heard nothing from NVIDIA about any of this stuff, so there you go. All right, January 24th. Oh, why am I even saying that? AMD.
The title of the document.
I know. All right, so there's been some talk about Kaveri and some of the things that AMD could or could not have done and may or may not do. Oh, I think I asked them for a Twitter blitz. Let's go back to the Twitter blitz.
Don't forget the Twitter blitz, you guys. I actually didn't get that message from anyone, but I figure that's what someone would say if they thought we forgot the Twitter blitz.
Is that the Ubuntu font on your Twitter handle in the lower third? Dude, I have no idea. Isn't there a law in the US that says paid content has to be disclosed if you receive the item for free? So that for the sake of full disclosure, you have to be like, yo, I got this for free, so take whatever I say that's positive about it with a grain of salt. In Canada, that law does not exist, and I'm Canadian.
Although we kind of usually
Yeah,
say so anyways.
we're not, and we take it upon ourselves to say negative things, even if it was free. Opinions should not be bought. The viewers are the victim, not the... I didn't say the YouTubers were the victim. I said they were the culprit.
Yeah.
I think you're misunderstanding what I said. Terry says, the issue is that there is such a negative stigma about the Xbox One that it would create more negativity if they were open about this. But it creates even more if they get caught.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny that you mentioned the negativity around Xbox One because it's really, a lot of it seems unfair. It's not, PS4 is not revolutionarily better than Xbox One. Yeah, it's faster hardware-wise, and it does have some advantages. But Sony is every bit as evil as Microsoft. Like, let's not kid ourselves. Sony is the king of proprietary.
Oh, yeah.
Although Microsoft's whole thing with the chat cable on the Xbox One.
The chat cable?
Yeah, the Xbox 360 compatible headsets need a proprietary adapter that you must buy from Microsoft in order to plug any other microphone into it. It's pretty ridiculous. And then the fact that the controller doesn't work on PC. Anyway, Sony has a long history, mini disc, memory stick, the memory units that go into their professional grade camcorders. At every turn, they try to make things proprietary and horrible. So, you know, let's not herald them as a white knight just yet. So, I do.
Is this like the fastest car on the road argument though? Like, the PlayStation isn't necessarily a white knight, but the Xbox is a lot darker.
Ugh.
They're both speeding. Just one of them speeding a lot more.
Dumitru says, please do not underestimate the stupidity of the human race.
I try.
Xbox is better than PC, says Logan. Good luck with that. Confidentiality...
Oh, no.
Oh, why do I keep... I don't have enough margin for error here. I need more margin for error. If it were fully disclosed, then absolutely no problem with it being hidden, but that's terrible. Someone should be sued. I don't think lawsuits are necessarily always the answer either. Okay, let's go ahead and go down. Isn't there a law that says paid content has to be disclosed? I don't think so. I mean, it's not like we go to a movie theater and they tell you, like, hey, we were paid to make this. I think sometimes it's implied.
Yeah.
I don't think it always has to be explicitly said.
I think it doesn't. I think it has to be not hidden. Like it was specifically hidden.
Okay,
like
is product placement hidden? If the main character picks
like
up
if you
a frosty mug of whatever ale someone's trying to sell and looks at the camera like this, come on, how many times have we seen that?
But if you like somehow asked them, they wouldn't say no. And like a lot of times you can actually figure out exactly how much money was put into product placement.
So it comes down to that confidentiality clause.
Yeah, I think that's the problem.
So if $3 is pretty low for breaking FTC guidelines, yeah, potentially. Although $3...
It's a good CPM, but
Yeah,
it's like he said, you're breaking FTC guidelines.
Like if we could generate 100,000 views, like a lot of game streamers can, and pump out like 5 videos, we're talking like 15 grand for like 5 videos if you can reach 100,000 views with them. I mean, that's This is bad for the consumer, but doesn't it happen all the time? Yes. Seems super shady, but from what I heard, this is more of a machinima bad than a Microsoft one. And that's actually interesting. And like I said, the blame lies not necessarily on one head here. Tweet you started. I uploaded the video that should have created a tweet, in theory.
Unchecked.
Oh, bollocks. Oh, whoops. We probably should have tweeted that. It's okay. What do you use for your Pebble watch face? I'm actually a total loser, and I use one of the default ones. I haven't played around with the Pebble nearly as much as I probably should have, and now that they're releasing their App Store soon, I've gotten kind of lazy about it, so I'm just going to wait for that. Also, I have a Qualcomm Talk coming soon, so that'll be an excuse to really dig into the Pebble and really spend some time with it, so I can be properly comparative between the two of them. Google Voice would be cool for online shopping or doing research papers. That's what they want you to think.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. I posted this in the forum about a new cooling option. Now's not really a time for us to be following links and reading stuff. Sorry. 762 ASLR 780. Personally, I'd go 780.
Yeah.
We're both more
single card
guys these days. I believe Candy is already trademarked, although I Did you run into any issues testing 780 Ti SLI on that rig? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay.
But like a little bit of tearing actually.
But tearing's tearing. That's probably just because your frame rate was so high.
Yeah, but no driver issues, no game crash,
Okay.
nothing like that.
Yeah, because I mean, our whole single cards are better is sort of based on neither of us having run an SLI setup in a couple of generations now.
But then I've built systems for people that requested SLI that have had problems later on.
There you go. I'd move. Have you heard about the Intel NUC? Yes, I've heard of the Intel NUC. And yeah, it could be interesting with Steam streaming in mind, just like any small low-power PC. Someone says, did you forget to post that the show is up? Considering we have 3,600 viewers, yeah, no, the actual post did go up. All right, just come over to Oz and get great internet. No, I don't think so. And we're back into the internet debate. So there you go. That was all we really got for the whole Microsoft marketing thing. All right, so let's talk about AMD's potential with Kaveri. So Kaveri, for those of you who don't know, is AMD's new generation APU. So that is a CPU and a GPU fused into one, and now with even more benefit to that than before, because if I recall correctly, Intel was actually the first one with Linfield to ship a CPU and a GPU on the same core, even though they weren't on the same die. There was actually a GPU die and then a CPU die right next to each other with a fast interconnect. So while AMD wasn't necessarily the first one to deliver an APU to market, they are the ones calling it APU, and they have finally justified that with the highest technology APU that we've ever seen, and it now features HSA. So that's heterogeneous system architecture, which means that an APU has 4 CPU cores and up to 8 GPU cores, and AMD is basically going, well, we're going to call that 12 cores now. Don't worry, on the box, they still specify what kind of cores the 12 are, cool. But we're going to call it 12 cores because that processor is now capable of, at the same time, working on up to 12 discrete threads, even if they're all part of the same task. Because of its HUMA technology, the CPU cores and the GPU cores can both access the same memory at the same time. So they can both use your system RAM and work on the same tasks and collaborate, as opposed to the GPU core sitting and waiting for instructions from the CPU and then passing information back and forth over PCI Express. This is extremely exciting, and it also has huge implications for the value of higher-end memory subsystems in desktop PCs. It's been quite a while. Actually, it's been since the memory controller moved on die, since higher speed memory has really made much of a difference, like within a single CPU generation. So we've gone all the way from DDR1 to DDR3 without seeing like what looks like a generational leap in memory performance. Yeah. It's just kind of been incremental small improvements as manufacturing processes have improved over time. Now, I mean, AMD was, according to this article, so the original article is from, actually, there's a lot of articles linked here. So one from AnonTech, there's one from Hot Hardware, and then there's another one from wow.
That top one, Slashdot.
Slashdot, okay, and then another one from Slashdot. Okay, so it was posted by Vitalis on the forum, and there's some evidence suggesting that AMD considered GDDR5 for Kaveri. There's also, so why would they do that? Well, I pulled up this. So this is a, oh balls.
Oh, where'd it go?
Where did it go? Oh no!
Where'd that Corsair blog go?
History, man.
Come on.
Was it in Chrome?
Yeah, it might have been in Chrome.
Make sure you don't activate your mic and ignore a pop-up.
Recent tabs. Come back to me. Come back to me, recent tabs. Recently closed. Oh no.
If you were candy ready for this, we wouldn't be going through this right now. I wonder if, like, how many people get that?
Here we go. All right, I found it. All right, guys, so Corsair has an interesting blog showing us the improvement in performance. Oh, right. So I was going to say we haven't seen much of a difference even with things like Intel launching triple channel and quad channel memory controllers. If you go back and look at some of the old reviews back when LGA 1366 in 2011 launched of folks going, okay, well, let's try single channel, dual channel, triple channel, quad channel. Yeah, not much of a difference because latency actually goes up as you add more channels. Whereas the bandwidth also increases, but if those two performance, so higher latency is bad and higher bandwidth is good, and a lot of the times they were almost pretty much offsetting each other to the point where it really didn't make much difference at all. Well, now we could be looking at a different situation. So this is from Corsair's blog, and let's see who wrote it. This is by Dustin Sklavos. So he used to work for Anantech. So he's doing some interesting testing here. So this is memory bandwidth going from 1600 to 1866 to 2133 to 2400. So you can see that the read and write performance, which are the blue and the red lines, so particularly the blue one, faster reads, are increasing as we add more bandwidth, even though latencies are also increasing. And this is amounting to, check this out.
Did you mean blue and
Nope,
green?
no, that was right.
Okay.
These are amounting to, check this out. So these are different games. Bioshock Infinite 720p, Bioshock Infinite 1080p, Grid 2 720p, and Grid 2 1080p. An almost matching line when using the onboard graphics. Wow. So if you could potentially, I don't know, add, and this is another thing that is rumored to potentially be in there, if you could add quad channel memory support, or you could have memory that runs at, 2 times the frequency, we could be looking at onboard graphics that absolutely destroy anything anyone could do with integrated graphics in the past. And you might go, okay, well, Linus, that's very interesting. I guess onboard graphics are kind of go, but think about this. What about HSA then? So let's say you add a discrete graphics card to your system. That's cool. Okay, you game on that. But what if your Photoshop filters or your Premiere or Premiere or I'm trying a complete blank, After Effects, or whatever kind of pro-grade visual effects program you're using could be accelerated by those GPU cores, and you could increase the speed of them a couple times just by having faster memory. Wow. And considering some of the demos that we saw at the Kaveri Tech Day, we could be looking at, already Kaveri in an optimized environment, which is easier to code for than it has been in the past because it's all compliant with OpenCL 2.0. Already, they're leaving competitors in the dust. We could be looking at a whole new world of performance with faster memory for the first time in a very long time outside of the server space.
I think AMD's timing could not have been better because this time last year, all doom and gloom. Will AMD exist in however long? Like, look at their stock levels, look at how much money they lost, all this kind of stuff. And now it's Intel sitting there with a few series of processors being released and people still liking 2600Ks and 2500Ks more than some of the new ones. Myself still running a 2600K and being completely fine and happy with it because I don't see that much of a gain by moving up. Comparing to AMD where it's like, look at all this stuff we're doing right now, and look at all this stuff we might be doing in the future, and look at all this stuff we almost did, and look at all these things we're planning for, and what about these theoretical combinations of things that could be amazing? And I don't know, I see AMD moving much more aggressively in the next little while.
Yeah, it's very, very, very exciting. Speaking of things that are exciting, this isn't really. You see why I hate this thing? Touch to click doesn't work. See? Not enabled. So why is it that palm detection is causing me to lose focus on a window? What is going on here?
No one can see that happen.
Trying to do a sponsor read here. All right, so thank you, Squarespace, for sponsoring the WAN show. I'm in an angry mood, so you're going to get an extremely angry sponsor read. We really appreciate you guys making it possible for us to do this. So guys, squarespace.com is the easy way to create your own beautiful website. They have over 20 templates that allow you to create a website that looks great on desktop, looks great on notebook, looks great on a phone, and any other kind of device you can imagine. That's part of the whole value of it, because making a website that looks good across a variety of platforms ain't that easy. easy. So you can create a blog, you could create a portfolio, a store, a website for your business, all kinds of cool stuff like that. The limit is your imagination. You can use their easy website creation tools, or you can dive right into the HTML, CSS, and Java code should you see fit. But that's not all. They've actually got something new that they asked me very nicely to take a look at, and I was like, okay,
template?
sure. Candy template. No, not so much. It's a logo maker. So if you go to squarespace.com/logo, or if you just go to their website and go to the menu here, doop, 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 and then go to logos, you will load up the logo maker. So this is actually kind of cool. I created a little logo here, which took me just a couple of moments. So you just key in some text. So it could be like, oops, no, come back. There we go.
You can use controllers on PCs.
The WAN show. And then weekly analysis and news. Okay, well, it can't help you spell any better, but what it does allow you to do is move things around. You can take your little logos here. They have a little search thing here. So they have some default ones. And I was actually a little bit confused about this at first. I was like, oh, really? I can have a pig, a diamond, a fish, or like a raccoon. Thank you for the compelling choice of Squarespace. No, don't worry. It's better than that. So you just go ahead and search for symbols. So I punched in tech, and it came up with a bunch of much more relevant stuff. Figures it says no icon now. You know what's funny is I was actually doing this on a mobile connection, and that was working just fine. There we go.
Yeah.
And there you go. You get like printers and CDs and Game Boys and cool stuff like that. So all of a sudden you can create yourself a little logo. You can change the spacing of the grid. You can move things around. You can be like, okay, I want this to go over here. You can make it snap to things. You can align it that way. And then it gives you a cool little preview of what your logo will look like on a business card, on a website, a Squarespace website presumably, and on a t-shirt. That actually looks not bad, hey?
That actually looks pretty okay.
So to be clear, they're not replacing graphic designers and brand creators. They're just creating like the fastest, cheapest, easiest way for you to get a logo that's usable and ready for you to put on your website that you presumably also create on squarespace.com. There's some kind of a rate for how much you can pay to get a logo, but it's free for anyone who has a Squarespace membership. And I realize I didn't actually put our lower third back. So I realized that I didn't actually say, guys, visit squarespace.com/Linus, get a free trial, and then get up to 10%, or get up to, wow, see? I knew it was bad to go into this angry. Get 10% off of your Squarespace, off your first purchase of Squarespace using offer code Linus1. So that includes the website, includes the monthly hosting, and also includes their new logo builder. And then they also very nicely asked me to mention Squarespace Super Bowl. So they're going to have a Super Bowl commercial.
Really?
I was like, really?
They have millions and millions of dollars?
That's what I said. Apparently.
That's awesome.
So blah, 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 Squarespace. Oh, hold on.
Do they have like a leak of it? Can we watch it?
Super
Bowl commercials are pretty legit.
It's not leaked. They
Oh.
only have a teaser. So they asked me to show the teaser, and I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, why not? I mean, Super Bowl ads are kind of awesome.
I'm down with Super Bowl ads.
All right, where's the teaser video?
Even if I somehow miss the Super Bowl, I usually just go back on YouTube and watch all the ads. 'Cause Super Bowl ads are usually pretty legit.
Here it is. Okay, there we go.
There's a giant baby.
There is definitely a giant baby in their teaser. Can you just be less of a huge piece of crap? Thank you. There we go. All right. It's funny because I was so glad to have my laptop back for this week. All right, here we go. It's only about 15 seconds long. So presumably it's something to do with their whole quest of making the web not look like a bunch of GeoCities websites and like flashing banners and stuff like that. So their whole thing is beautiful design and tastefulness.
And that logo creator, like,
it's kind of cool, hey?
2 seconds in it, actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's better than what I could do in Paint.
Paint.net.
Paint.net, on the other hand, maybe I could do better.
But
But it would take more time.
yes.
What, really? You don't think I could do better than that in Paint?
Did you not see the uproar for your little badge things? I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do about that.
Speaking of uproar, Apple is relaunching the iPhone 4.
At a very, very appealing price of only $370 for super old technology.
Seriously, Apple? What are you doing?
They probably don't know. You can't answer that question. They have no idea.
I mean, if anyone at Apple's watching, I mean, Tim, if you're watching, give me a call right here. Let me know what's going on, man. Like, how can you possibly expect people... Like, I understand why the iPhone 4 is still legitimately expensive. I do get it. And what did it have? Something like 4 gigs of storage?
Yeah.
Yeah,
8?
Is it 8?
8 gigabyte mobile models, yeah.
Yeah, 8 gig models.
How high
So
on
it's going to
candy
have
is he?
1 gigahertz single core CPU, 512 megs RAM, 5 megapixel rear camera.
It sounds so old. Like, it doesn't seem that bad necessarily when you're using it, and then you read the specs on paper and you're just like,
Like,
oh.
I understand why it's still expensive, because the actual, like, tooling of it and the fit and finish of it is beautiful. Up there with almost any modern Android, pretty much any modern Android phone.
A lot of plastic and crap.
Yeah, a lot of plastic junk on the Android side. But to expect, like, to think that, first of all, to think that 5C was going to be your value model at $100 cheaper than a 5S? Come on. Really? To think that iPhone 4, I mean, you're not even giving them the 4S. To think that iPhone 4 is a value at $370 is insane. I don't imagine that this is going to be a big success for them. I mean, the problem that they have over there is that fewer carrier subsidies prevent people from buying expensive phones. Well, when you're considering that Motorola is talking about a $50 smartphone and that they already have the Moto G,
Yeah.
which is a $200, actually fairly compelling smartphone. I've just started working on my review of it. I know I'm a little bit late, but sorry.
We're pretty late on a lot of our
Yeah,
phone
we're pretty
reviews.
late on almost every phone. So holding a Moto G and holding an iPhone 4, I can go, yeah, this is a beautiful device. But this one is way more functional in every possible way. I just think this is ridiculous.
It's pretty dumb. They just have no grasp on reality, I think, in that area. We should do the next one.
Someone's like, Linus, why are you so mad? Why? Am I going to get mad again? Oh, no, this isn't a mad thing.
No, I'm saying we should
Oh.
do. There's you put optional in brackets.
Yeah, this is
I'm
happy.
saying we should do it.
Calling all members of the LTT Forum, World Cancer Day 2014. Basically, this is just a call to arms to engage in distributed computing on this particular...
Link and folding. It's
Yeah.
for a week of the World Cancer Day, so it's not necessarily just World Cancer Day. It's the week that World Cancer Day lays
So
on.
it starts on Monday the 3rd of February and ends on Sunday the 9th. Give your power to a good, decent cause. I know not everyone can run folding or particularly folding 24/7 because it does consume a lot of power and that does cost money, but maybe 1 week out of the year is not such a bad thing if we all kind of work together. So there you go, guys. You
pretty
can check
cool.
out the thread. It was posted by XSilent and then brackets X. People need names that I can say on the show if they want me to say their names on the show. And that's in the Folding at Home Boink and Coin Mining subforum.
Very cool. And then we're moving on.
Small town in Alberta gets gigabit broadband. I'll
So
let you
this-
talk about this because
this-
this is hilarious.
This brings up this is what I thought you were talking about. What I thought you were going to transition into when you did the move thing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, apparently there's a small town in Alberta, and the community council got together.
Okay, hold on. I got another one. Would you guys move to the freaking boondocks, like the middle of nowhere, northern Alberta,
8,500 people, entire population of city.
if the thing that he's about to talk about is a thing? Go.
So there was some apparently specific engineering businesses, but also other businesses that were complaining that they were literally shipping drives because it was considerably faster, like very considerably faster to ship a drive than it was to transfer something over the internet. And this was like locally or outside. They were just transferring drives all over the place. They're saying it was ridiculous. They were going to move and like other towns, all this kind of stuff. So the council said, no, essentially, we don't want you to have to move because of internet speeds, because that's ridiculous. So they're pulling in gigabit to the town. Now, it's currently in certain locations, not everywhere. You can currently pay for about $57 to $90 a month, and you can get 100 megabit. And they're going to take that and say, like, yep, same cost, but it's gigabit. Now, it's not quite as awesome as it sounds immediately, because you will share with your node.
Okay.
So if you get on gigabit, you're sharing with your node, but you're in a like I don't think your neighbor is going to use 900 megabits a second. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that, but that's just something you do have to pay attention to. The average Canadian internet download speed is about 6.6 megabytes per second for an average of $54 a month. So that scaling, it's pretty ridiculous.
Dat price to performance ratio right there.
They're saying that they can do this because they don't have to worry about making massive profit margins all the time. They just have to worry about making a little bit of money so that their council can still exist, obviously. So they're actually able to do this at a reasonable level. They received a pretty sizable grant from the government too to actually do this because of what their whole plan is. They're trying to keep people there, they're trying to keep businesses there and all that kind of stuff. So it makes sense, and they're not gouging people, so the government tries to help them. The government actually tries to help a lot of companies that are laying infrastructure. Just a lot of those companies don't really care and still screw people over. And something that brings me back to the you're sharing it with the people around you discussion is that if you're a business and you want a dedicated gigabit per second line, like dedicated, gonna be there, gigabit per second line, you'll have all that bandwidth all the time, it's $5,000.
Okay.
So it's like, no. But I think they have like one or two maybe businesses in mind when they have that there, and they know they'll hit those two, and that's maybe where they're making some of the money back.
Right.
But yeah.
Either way, investing in infrastructure.
It just makes sense.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Loving it. All right. Demystifying Crystal Cove. There was something that I wanted to talk about. Not Bricks Pro. Shoot. I don't remember what it was. Okay, do you want to do Demystifying Crystal Cove while you're at it?
I was thinking as we're getting fairly close and that video is up, maybe we should jump to Candy Jam real quick. Then maybe we can do that as like an ending.
Sure.
thing.
All right, so why have we been saying the word candy all stream? For those of you who didn't watch the pre-show.
So the Candy Jam, which is awesome, and like it's actually kind of hard to read because their website is ridiculous, but I think that's kind of part of the joke. So I'm not gonna harp on them too hard for that. But what they say, if you're having troubles reading it, is because trademarking common words is ridiculous, and because it gives us an occasion to make another game jam. That's why this whole thing exists. You have to make a game involving candies in some way. Consider using the word candy several times. Also, scroll, memory, saga, apple, and edge might give bonus points. I'm not entirely sure why. I don't think I've necessarily researched the topic deeply enough. Maybe they're looking into trademarking those words as well. It starts now. You can go to it now. It ends 3rd of February. There's been 27 games submitted so far, and you have an interesting contest kind of.
Okay, so I'm putting up $100 bounty to the first person who makes a game called Candy Ass Candy Eaters. So the objective of the game has to be that there's like people, and it can get more or less challenging. Like think about all the game elements that exist. So you could have places where you're supposed to throw the candy, places where if you throw it, it's negative points. Like if a zombie eats it or something, then that's bad and that's negative points. But the idea is that you throw candy at these people, and they don't like getting hurt. So if you miss their mouths directly, then it's like somehow detrimental. So that's what makes them candy ass, because they're like, they don't like getting hit by candy, and maybe they're running away from the candy as you're trying to feed it to them or something to make it like challenging or something like that. So I want that game to exist. Only to the first one, though. I'm not paying a bunch of these bounties.
I really hope someone makes it. I don't really think they will, but I really
I don't
hope
think
they
anyone
do.
will.
And this whole thing is kind of horrible because every single time something like this happens, like with the copyright complaints, and like the main dude backing like, yeah, we should have stronger copyright law, pirated the background picture for his website, and like this kind of stuff always seems to happen. But King, the guys behind the copyright of the word candy, totally ripped the crap out of a game called Scamper Ghost back in the day. So there's Pack Avoid and Scamper Ghost, and as you go through here, you'll notice the screenshots are incredibly the same. And what actually happened was they hired a company called, where is it? Epic Shadow, very specifically to copy Scamper Ghost. It was like, go copy this game. It was fairly straightforward. The Scamper Ghost guys aren't mad at Epic Shadow because King was in their discussions with Epic Shadow was saying that Scamper Ghost had a signed contract deal with King and then broke out of it, and there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and it was issues, and they were like, yeah, just go copy that game because that'll be the one actually published, blah, blah, blah. And then Epic Shadow contacted Scamper Ghost at some point in time being like, yo, we thought you guys were the bad guys. I don't know. Yeah, so Scamper Ghost is not specifically mad at them. They're mad at King, and they're more specifically mad at King actually because of the candy copyright thing.
Right, because they're trying to copyright the word, or trademark the word candy.
Sorry, yeah, trademark.
To be clear. I mean, I don't think we ever actually said that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just candying ridiculous.
That's absolutely candying ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's funny that these guys are being super vocal now about the fact that King has done this instead of previously, when it probably still would have gotten a lot of traction, but they're doing it now because of a copyright that doesn't have something to do with them. I think that's actually really cool. So go play Scamper Ghost, because that's awesome.
Well, I think that's it. I had something that I really wanted to talk about that wasn't on the dock, and I kind of thought of it, and then I forgot about it. It wasn't Bricks Pro. I don't know if I want to talk about that much anymore. It was something else.
For the demystifying Crystal Cove thing, the video is out right now, and it has a lot of it. I'm probably going to be doing a long form written write-up at some point in time, because there's a lot of stuff that didn't make it into the video. And there's actually a clip that was not put into the release video.
Oh, what's that? Oh.
So
Oh.
I say at one point in time, like, there are lenses A, B, and C, and I will talk about those more later, and that clip didn't end up making it in, so it made it really awkward. I'm going to try and come up with some way to integrate that, but we can't exactly pull it down and re-release it now.
No.
So I was thinking maybe I could upload it unlisted and then link people to it on the forum or something.
Yep,
so I'll probably do that so you guys can get that clip. Or if you come to the after party, I'll probably talk about Oculus even more and take questions and stuff like that. So we can talk about that there. And there will be an after party tonight. I don't necessarily know if I'll be gaming, but I'll be giving away games and talking about Oculus.
Yay, giving away games.
Hooray.
Alright, well, I think I give up on this.
One last thing,
Oh.
actually. One very final last thing. We have a unofficial Linus Tech Tips Star Citizen group.
Oh, yes.
So if you are interested in Star Citizen, Linus and I are both signed up, but it's unofficial because we're not leading it. We're just going to kind of hang
We
out.
posted it on Facebook, so if anyone was curious what my reach is on Facebook, I guess you've all seen it now. Let me just have a look here. Star Citizen. It's the one with no picture because someone nubbed out.
Oops.
Oh yeah, there it is. So Linus Tech Tips.
Nah. Speaking of, would you move if you got faster internet?
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm pretty sure that's Facebook's problem.
Oh.
Because they have a lot of this on mechanical drives now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it used to be that your feed was in memory.
Ooh.
And now I think a lot of stuff, particularly images, are being pushed onto mechanical even. So Star Citizen organization now with added polls. So you can check out that thread on the forum if you are interested in it.
And as far as I can tell, they're being pretty open to ideas about how it's going to be ran and all this kind of stuff. So post in there, talk about it, and it's quite a ways from being released. So we'll get some stuff more.
It's unofficial, to be clear, guys.
Yeah, we're not running it.
Yeah, but I joined it.
So did I. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's probably about it.
Yeah, I give up on this. All right, thanks guys for watching the WAN show. We'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And the archive should actually be up fairly quickly, so I'll just throw it up without a table of contents. And then when he gets around to it at apparently like 4 in the morning for whatever reason.
I was done way before that.
If anyone wants to do a table of contents and then like fire it over to him during the after party, that would be more than welcome.
That works too.
The one thing that I would ask is that you make sure to include an entry for the Squarespace sponsorship spot in case anyone wants to find that. We do tell them that we will include a link in our table of contents to their sponsor spot. And without further ado, thank you guys for watching. Thank you Squarespace for sponsoring us, and see you next week. Wrong one. Love that.